Good afternoon, and welcome to the Grand Boulevard Coalition Hour. My name is William Penn, and we're talking about drug-free communications. Drug-free communities. If you'd like to call in today and speak with me on drug-free communities, especially the Grand Boulevard Coalition area, which is basically the Bronzeville community, you can call us today at 312-738-1060. So good afternoon. My name is William Penn. I am the president of the Grand Boulevard Coalition, and today's conversation we're going to continue to talk as we have over the previous weeks about opioid use. We're going to talk about a new partnership with Snapchat and the Chicago Area Project in a few minutes, looking for youth to come on board and to work on some Snapchat projects over the next couple of months in regards to drug-free community. I would like to thank our coalition partners, the aldermen of the 3rd and 4th Ward, Chicago Police Department, Chicago Public Schools, and all the other wonderful people who have partnered with us along this 5-year journey in making sure that our youth in the Bronzeville community do not use drugs, alcohol, or smoke cigarettes. Again, thank you. All right, let's get started. So, our announcement to start off is the Chicago Area Project has partnered with Snapchat to get our youth voices heard about gun violence. Something a little different, but because we work with youth and youth is part of our coalition, that's why we put the stuff out there. Can you send this to youth groups you know, or have your own youth to do this project by this weekend? The instructions are below. So by the end of the show, I will make sure the instructions are out there for people to go. You can also go to the Grand Boulevard Coalition email address and send information in, or you can call today at 312-738-1060. One of the most important things about our mission in our coalition about youth don't use alcohol or drugs is we really push parents and other officials in the community to talk to their kids about drug use, alcohol use, and cigarettes, and get their information or get what they're saying and why they might use it. And we've always found now that a lot of youth in this day and age are under a lot of stress. Stress from grades now, stress from peer pressure, stress from sports, and even just stress from being at home with their parents, or we have some youth that we deal with that are homeless, and so we try to give them counseling and talk with them and partner up with different agencies in the area to make sure they have everything that they need to be able to come out on the other side and just be strong, positive adults. We're looking forward to having some calls today to really discuss and see what really the people out there who's watching the show today, what's on your mind and what do you think about that? And how can you help and be a part of what's going on in the Grand Boulevard Coalition area and in the Bronzeville area? Again, that number is 312-738-1060. Okay, as we wait for some calls to come in, let's continue the conversation. In the next couple of weeks, our youth are getting ready to start the last quarter of this semester and this school year, and we're hoping that everybody's getting good grades and doing well. But one thing that a lot of people are beginning to talk about and be worried about a little bit is how our youth are going to be out of school. They're out for the summer, and summer over the last couple of years has turned out to be a highly stressful event with people being murdered, the youth are out on the streets and they just really doesn't have anything to do. Ones who do have stuff to do are going to and from work, to and from summer school, and all the programs. And just our parents really stress that when summer comes, they see a big difference in how their youth is beginning to act or how they feel about summer, and that is also, it almost be like a drag, and they wish there was no summer and just go right back into falls, because then they're in school, and while they're being in school, at least they're in safe zones, and they have their minds are being challenged and they have stuff to do. So I wonder if all year round school has wound up being something that's worthy of having opening that discussion or starting that discussion, so where the stress of summer don't really be so prevalent. I wonder what you guys out there think about that. So that's another thought to throw out there. Another project or another thought that I had was, should we have more reintroduced parents and the adult caregivers of the youth be re-engaged in their education of how things are, how now in the 21st century, the area of smartphones, and how maybe we should go back to, maybe even myself, I have 5 kids, we should go back to having parenting classes in how to deal with our youth today in this modern time, because a lot of the things that our parents used to raise us was good and positive, was right on point, but today with more and more single family homes raising kids, more and more grandparents raising kids, more and more homes, when youth are wards of the states or runaway and they're living on the streets and they might not have no adult supervision, how we can now teach more people about how to go about raising kids. So that's another good thought, or another good suggestion out there. We'd love to hear what anybody have to say about that. Let's see what else here. Okay, so I got the email, just came across on the Snapchat. So we just want people to do a quick Snapchat on their story about how gun violence have affected them, how they do things different. And on that, we would hope that you were able to upload your file to pnicolas at c.snap, which is snap.com. Let me repeat that one more time for you. pnicolas at c.snap.com. And basically, we're asking our youth to tell their stories. I'm not a Snapchat user, so I don't know how they really do that on there or how that works. But if you have youth in your house and they are really good at that, and they spend, like my children do, all day on their social media, this might be a positive thing that we can get behind and ask them to go ahead and be a part of it. Okay, hopefully again, somebody out there just want to call me and talk to me. The number is 312-738-1060. As we move on, I would like just to put information and stuff out there. So we have the Snapchat for youth, Chicago youth violence about gun control, youth voices about gun control. And at the end of the show, or just before we get close to the end of the show, I'll make sure I give out that email address one more time. And again, you could just go to the Grand Boulevard Coalition website and get more information on that. Okay, so the next thing we would like to talk about, I would like to talk about and put the thought out there, is how our caregivers or people who work with substance abuse, how their locations are working to help and their needs and so on and so forth. And so I was talking to a young lady earlier today, and she was telling me that um, she's out in Creek, Illinois, and so her location, she has a couple rooms and offices and space, but for it to be more robust, she's looking for more people to come out and spend time in group sessions and spend time and just fellowshipping. I think is how some people is a word that some people use. They sit around the table or in a circle and they just talk about some of their issues and their problems and what that group can maybe come together and help each other to be a better person. As we always like to say, it takes a village to raise a child, but in this day and age, it might take a village to raise anybody. It doesn't make a difference what age you are. We see it on the low end with the kids, and now we're beginning to see it as my group, baby boomers are beginning to age and become older, and we're now becoming more and more dependent on our youth to help us, and not so much raise us, but maybe put a roof over our head and put a bed, a nice warm bed, and a couple of meals for us to eat throughout our later years in life. So now the village to help people in general, that should be just a general phrase or a general thought out there. And we're beginning to, so anyway, so I was talking to the young lady about her issues and she started having. I was saying, well, maybe we can start looking for a space here in the Bronzeville community and Washington community for you to bring your operation, because I've been hearing great things about your operation out there in Crete, and we can definitely use more help in the city. And there might be more resources. Unfortunately or unfortunately, big cities get more resources than the suburbs, and a lot of time you're fundraising or you're struggling just to get by, where there's a treasure trove of resources and financing and money in the city that can help you. So that's another point that's out there, and we'd love to hear what people have to say about that. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so another thing is, how do we feel how our schools are helping our kids? Should we have more education out there in the schools about opioid crisis or addiction, or how they can spot it in them, and not so much spot it in themselves. Maybe we start training our youth today of how to look for signs for opioid crisis or signs that people are addicts on different things, so where they're able to maybe get those people help. So that's another issue that's out there that has been on my mind, that I've been working in the community to try to find answers and put together another forum for opioids, and just finding out where there's funding. We found funding, and so now we're putting together hopefully a program that will empower our youth to take the initiative and take the lead in finding better ways to have people get to resources for these problems. So I find that very refreshing that youth are now taking charge and really coming out there and trying to take control of things. I see I have a caller finally. Hey, hello caller, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Aren't you talking about moving from the suburbs to the Bronzeville area in Chicago?
Yes.
What kind of incentives do you have to move from the suburbs to the city?
Oh, great question. Well, I mean, I would think that the incentive would be, as in now most communities, there are a lot of empty spaces that go empty for years on end, that are either owned
Mm,
by retailers or owned by the city and owned by whoever. It doesn't really make a difference, and they're not able to rent it out for whatever reason, And unfortunately, in some of these, that particular community, the retail space has gone very dormant. We're really not getting much more new retail in. So we've worked on an initiative with the Bronzeville Chamber of Commerce where we look at space and see how a space might be a coffee shop during the daytime and then can be flipped in the evening time for group sessions where a group of people come together around and pull all the tables around and they have a chat or have a meeting. Almost if you think of it from like a AA, and I'm just using that example, like an AA meeting can now be there in the evening, and they do sometimes have proceeds or they have money that they can pay to rent the space, or because the space is already being paid by the retail tenant during the daytime, that the cost might be very minimum or actually no cost at all because the space is dead. As you know, it's almost like if you think about like downtown, when people weren't living downtown, downtown was 9 to 5. From 7 on, it was dead. You know, businesses closed up and shops is closed. So with people now mingling around downtown, people are now able to utilize those spaces. So I've seen a lot of secondary schools have now picked up and now renting these spaces and keeping people downtown a lot longer. So hopefully that answered your question, and that, thank you, caller. Hopefully that answered your question, and that if you want to reach out to me more, we can definitely look for, put you in contact with the different groups in the Bronzeville area to see if there's a location that you can bring your practice here into the city and be successful here as you are in the suburb. Thank you, caller. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So the next thing we want to talk about would be what do you guys think we should do to help our seniors who are becoming more and more dependent on opioids? And so now they're one of the largest growing group of codependents of opioids and pain pills, and they are slowly dying, but they're not getting the help because it was something that a lot of people didn't even know about, and would like to know what you guys think we should do about stuff along those lines. So there's always a lot of different questions and thoughts out there, so maybe the caller that I had earlier can tell me a little more about her thoughts about moving into the city and what spaces and where there could be opportunity there. I think there's opportunity even just setting up shop in some of the senior centers where it's a place that seniors congregate, so you can actually do your work there. And I'll be quiet because I think I have another caller. Yes, caller, how you doing this afternoon?
Yes, good evening. Great show.
Thank you.
I want to put this out there and see if you agree with me. The reason why we don't have money to start great programs like you're talking about is because we're worried about DACA people when our own U.S. citizens, this sanctuary city means a safe zone. There ain't no safe zone for us U.S. citizens that grew up here and were born here in Chicago. So all the money taken for them, why can't we use it for the people that really need it, the U.S. citizens, the great citizens of Chicago?
Well, I totally agree with you on that point. So you're right, and I don't know if our current political people who are in office think that way. I think some do, and so we might start seeing a little more money coming into the neighborhoods. And the question, back to you, do you see money coming into your neighborhood? What neighborhood are you in, sir?
Yeah, I live in Lansing. I lived in Chicago all my life. I'm a 70-year-old man. I just moved to Lansing. But I'm a Mexican-American, fought in Vietnam for the citizens of this great country part, not for people that don't belong here. And I'm Mexican-American, and I say that. So, sir, that's why I think we don't have enough money for programs that our people really need. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll continue that. Let me talk a little more on that. I agree with you, and I know that in Congress people talk about that all the time, and that more money need to be, and of course there's probably never enough money overall in to solve all the problems, but we just need to fairly put the money out there in all the communities so where everybody can get help or benefit from the funding that is out there. And one thing that we might have to look at is, one of the things is, we always talk about reform, is maybe there should be a reform or maybe we should open up the conversation about the fact that there are probably too many not-for-profits or people that are going after the money and they're cutting up the pie and they're serving the same community, and so that money doesn't filter down to the community because of all the overhead that a lot of agencies have, and that maybe we should figure out a look at how a community can take a look at all their groups that are helping different people and how they can pool their resources together and work more strategically and smarter in achieving some of these goals that we're trying to get achieved out here today. Again, thank you both for my callers. Those are great calls and great questions. And we have about a few more minutes before the show. And if anybody else have a question or a call, please feel free to call in again at 312-738-1060. So let's move on with our opioid talk today, and how we're going to start a program over the next 3 to 6 months, training our youth to look for what addiction looks like, how to tell if that's what's going on, who they should report it to, or where they should go to get help for that person, especially in their household, if it is their parents or if it's their grandparents or their caregivers or whoever, at school, their teachers, their coaches, or whoever, or people just on the street. And you don't have to really approach them, but if you see something, I think that phrase goes for everything today. If you see something, say something, but a lot of people don't say something because they don't know where to say it, or they want to get involved, but they don't want to get involved too far, and why we have 911 and 411 and 311. So those other ones you can really kind of call the 411 and 311 and make reports, and not have to worry about being bothered or being disturbed or being out on Front Street as the person that made that phone call. So those are some things that we definitely need to look at. Those are some things that we're working behind the scenes with different organizations and groups who are looking to do new training, and how, not only new training, but who should be trained, how are they certified once they're trained, and then once they're trained, a lot of times, where should they go, who should they call, who should they talk to. All those things have been coming to fruition, that we'll have more information on future shows on that, and that we want people to know that Grand Boulevard Coalition is a coalition of 12 different agencies across the greater Bronzeville community, Washington community, Douglas, and we come together once a month and we bring those resources and we help our coalition partners to achieve their goals. And if you're looking for a good, strong coalition to be a part of, or have a problem that you need to have addressed in that particular area, please reach out to Grand Boulevard Coalition. Again, my name is William Penn. You can always reach out and reach out to me at wpen2@hotmail.com, and just let me know what your needs and where we can help you. And I'm getting the wrap-up sign. So again, this is the Grand Boulevard Coalition half hour. Sorry about that. My name is William Penn. We like to talk about drug-free communities, And our tag or our line is most youth do not use drugs. Again, thank you so much, and have a good day.